Unboxing Tech here, and I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max. In this video, I have about $400 worth of cases that we're going to be reviewing. It's a lot to go through, so let's get right to it. First, let's start off with the official Apple TechWoven case. This is a TPU case with a 100% recycled polyester woven fabric on the back. This is in the green color. It's pretty lightweight at 34.5 grams in weight. And here it is. This is a genuine Apple case, so of course, all the cutouts are made to fit. And there are the strap holes that are newly added on to Apple's cases. The buttons are made out of an aluminum material. And of course, they are easy to press and very clicky. As this is the green case on the orange device, you can see a slight bit of the orange color peeking through the edges, which I think is a kind of poor design, to be honest, especially for an authentic Apple case and a case of this price. There is a small amount of lift at the edges, concentrated around the top and bottom. This is good for when you put your phone face down and you just want to move it around. It won't scratch the front screen, but I think if you put a screen protector on here, it will jut over the edges or at least be even with it, depending on what you get. On the back camera, we see that the plateau has a huge cutout. Not really surprised. The edges of the camera are also not that high. It is enough to protect your cameras when you put it down on its back. It shouldn't scratch up the lens by moving it around like that. And of course, the lens itself are made of a pretty tough material, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Honestly, when they first announced the TechWoven case, I wasn't too interested in it, but having it in my hand now, it's not bad at all, actually. There is a very distinct texture of the woven polyester on the back. It may be rough to some people with sensory sensitivities. Personally, I don't mind it. In fact, it feels very nice to hold and incredibly grippy as well. It's not a bad case, as you can see. This case also has the unique feature of being, an official Apple case that when you install it, the MagSafe ring that pops up matches the color of the case. That's cool. And thanks to the strap holes on the bottom, it is compatible with Apple's crossbody strap. Of course, it also has the MagSafe magnet on the back, and it's pretty strong overall. Also compatible with MagSafe charging. It'd be weird if it wasn't, to be honest. And here is the summary of the Apple TechWoven case. It does cost $59 USD, which is pretty steep for a case that doesn't have that many features, to be honest. It is mostly the Apple brand name that is doing the heavy lifting. It doesn't feel bad. It does feel a lot more durable than the silicone cases that Apple releases. Of course, time will only tell after usage and such, but overall, not a bad start. Next up, we have the Ringke Onyx case. The Ringke case is a pretty simple case made out of simply TPU, so it is flexible for the most part. It does weigh 41.2 grams, which is slightly heavier than the Apple TechWoven case, but overall not too bad. It's pretty lightweight. And here it is. Here are the bottom cutouts. They're well centered. Here's the front screen, and there is a slight lift around the top and bottom of the case. The sides are mostly flat. I believe it's there to help with swipe interference. The back camera, the plateau, is entirely covered up with only the camera lenses and flash cut out. I do like how the cosmic orange looks peeking out from underneath the black. The cutouts themselves are pretty high, not too bad. Unfortunately, the camera control button is just a cutout without a cover, but of course it will work because there's nothing covering it. So although it's not that special, like visually, I do really like the Onyx case because there is a texture just all around that's just very easy to grip. This is one of the grippiest cases that I've ever used. The texture on the back is also very smooth to the touch, and it just feels really great in my hand. It also has the dual straps on either side. Ringke has always done this from before even Apple released their crossbody strap. So the Ringke Onyx case is also compatible with the Apple crossbody strap. This is the MagSafe version of the Onyx. There's a non-MagSafe version as well, though I don't know why you would go for that one. The magnet itself is pretty strong. It's about on par with the Apple TechWoven case, which is, pretty standard. It is also compatible with charging. So here's the Ringke Onyx summary. It does cost $25.99, which I think is a pretty fair price after I've seen all the other case prices for what it is. It does have the MagSafe, the whole plateau coverage. Of course, the camera control button not being covered is a bit of a sad point. But overall, I do really like this case, and how it feels in my hand is just so comfortable. So this is a really good case to go for if you're just looking for something simple and kind of, easy on the wallet. Continuing on, I have the Ringke Alles case. The Ringke Alles is a two-piece case with a polycarbonate outside and a TPU inside. It is a bit of a heavier case at 62.4 grams. It is double layered, so it is what it is. And here it is. The bottom cutouts are nicely centered. The front screen has a pretty average lift just all around. I do like that the plateau of the back camera is entirely covered up with just the lenses peeking out. It does add that extra protection level, especially since, this year's iPhone is what it is. The raised edges around the camera lens on the Alice case is pretty deep. I am pretty happy with it. Even with like a camera protector on it, I think it'll be even over that. Of course, it's a double layered case, which does add the extra depth, which is not surprising at all. The Alice case does have a camera control button, so you can use it and it works like a charm. As this is a Ringke case, it also has the dual strap holes that makes it compatible with Apple's crossbody strap, like so. It's also MagSafe compatible, and the magnet is pretty strong, probably more so than the other two cases I've already reviewed. It is also MagSafe wireless charging compatible. Another cool feature about the Alice case is that while the back is really smooth, the sides are slightly textured, and it really does help with gripping the device, as you can see. Another cool feature is that the MagSafe magnet on the back also turns into a kickstand. It is 360 degrees rotational, so you can pretty much set it up at any angle or way that you want. The hinge is also pretty strong, so it pretty much holds the device at most angles you set it at. Here's the summary of the Ringke Alles case. It is our first case today to cover both the plateau and the camera control button. It is priced at $39.99, which isn't bad for a double-layered, incredibly protective, durable case with a kickstand magnet that is 360 degrees rotational. It's a pretty fair price, and if you are looking for something that does all this plus the extra features that it has, this is a great case to go for. Next up, I have the ESR Tough magnetic case. This is also a two-piece case with a polycarbonate outside and a TPU inside. It's a bit heavier than the Alice case at 79.2 grams, which is, starting to go up a bit. And here it is. So this case does have a dust cap for the charging port. Some people like this, some people think it's annoying. It really just depends on the individual. But everything else looks, just standard. The front screen also has a pretty good lift, especially at the corners here where there's like those little TPU bumpers. Really good for the extra protection. The back camera has a full coverage of the plateau. That's really nice. And although the individual lenses don't have raised edges around them, the just kind of rectangular part around the camera does have a slight lift all around for the extra protection. The camera control button is also covered up and works like a charm. The ESR Tough magnetic case also has a kickstand situated around the camera area. And that's about as far as it opens, but it's enough to set your phone up horizontally at a good viewing angle. One of the things about it is that at a vertical angle, it is kind of lower. You could set it up like so. However, the iPhone does have its limitations, and some apps don't really rotate all the way around like that. But I think it's good enough for, just video viewing. About that, yeah. Of course, it has the MagSafe magnet on the back, and it's pretty strong. Of course, it has to be fairly strong in order to hold up the weight of the case as well with the device, especially for the Pro Max size. It also allows for MagSafe charging. I honestly really like the feel of their TPU here. It's very rubbery and grippy, but they did put the polycarbonate around the sides here, which is slightly more slippery, so it's not as grippy as I would like. And plus, it's a fairly heavy case, so the extra grip would have really helped in this situation. So here's a summary of the ESR Cyber Tough, or Tough magnetic case. It does cover both the plateau and the camera control button, and it's priced at only $28.99, which is a great price for all the features that it has, including the kickstand, the MagSafe, and just the overall protectiveness of this case. This is a great case. Next up, we have the ESR Classic Hybrid case. I have it in this orange color to match my orange device. It is a hybrid case, so of course it has the TPU sides and the hard polycarbonate back. It's actually pretty heavy for a hybrid case at 51.1 grams. It does have some extra features, which does give a reason to the extra weight though. And here it is on the phone. The orange is so cute. It kind of looks like a toy almost, if I'm going to be honest. Here are the cutouts. The view from the sides. It does have one strap hole, which is not enough for the Apple crossbody strap, but then again, who cares? Here's the front screen, and there is an average lip around the screen. Just enough to protect the front without really giving it that much boost. The back plateau has a complete coverage with the same matte polycarbonate material. Like the Cyber Tough from ESR, it doesn't have the lift around the lenses, but just around the entire plateau itself, which is more than enough and makes sense due to the extra feature that we can see here. This case also has a camera control button cover, which also works like a charm. This case also has a kickstand around the camera. It opens to about that much, which makes it good for horizontal viewing, like I stated in the Cyber Tough, but also you can set it up upright like this, though it is kind of at a lower angle. It's made of a aluminum material, so it is metal based. This case also has a MagSafe, and it's incredibly strong. It might be even stronger than the Cyber Tough from earlier. Yeah, that's a great magnet. And it is also MagSafe charger compatible. So here's the summary for the ESR Classic Hybrid. It is on the bit of a weightier side. It isn't as slim as some of the hybrid cases that I've tried out before. However, it does add for the extra protection, of course, and the price is only $25.99, which is a great price for something like this, which is a very simple case, but it also provides the MagSafe plus the kickstand and great protection levels. This is a really good case. Next, I have the AOHI The Future MagArmor case. This is also a hybrid case with TPU sides and a polycarbonate back. It's pretty averagely lightweight at 48.3 grams. And here it is. It's honestly a little weird looking with the orange device. Personal opinion, of course. Here are the cutouts, perfectly centered. There's a single strap hole here, which is not enough for the Apple crossbody strap, but they'll get there someday. Here is the front with a pretty good lift around the front screen. The back camera is left open without a plateau cover. The edges are also, ooh. I mean, it's above, is it above? It is above the camera lens. Maybe it's the color that's throwing me off, and it is slightly at an angle, but it is over the camera lens, and it should be enough to protect the camera lens whenever you have to put your phone down. I'm not going to swipe it just because I feel a little anxious about it, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, this case also does not have a camera control button, but it does, guarantee that it'll work without any issues. One of the main components that makes the AOHI case a bit different from other cases is this yellow portion here. AOHI calls it a P4U polymer material, and it's soft and elastic under normal conditions. But once it's hit or squeezed violently, the molecules will tighten. That just disappeared somewhere. AOHI did line it up all around the inside edges of the case, so it should technically provide incredible protection for your device. I'm not going to test it out with a drop test or anything because I am a wimp, but let's take their word for it. The Future MagArmor case also is MagSafe, and it has a pretty standard magnetic strength. It's enough to keep your MagSafe accessories on your device without any issues of it falling off on its own. It's also MagSafe charger compatible. Another feature of this case is that it does have aluminum alloy built into it around the camera bezels, as well as the button, which does give it a bit more of a high quality feel. The case itself is very smooth to the touch, as well as the sides, so it doesn't have that much grip, but it is slim enough to hold comfortably in your hand without much issues, if I'm going to be honest. So this is the summary of the AOHI Future MagArmor case. It doesn't have the plateau coverage or the camera control coverage, which is a bit of a bummer, and the price is pretty high at $69.99. It may be due to the part of the P4U polymer material that is built inside the case for the extra protection. Of course, we'll never know how effective it is because I'm not going to test that out. Next up, I have the Torras Ostand case. The Torras Ostand case is made out of a plastic body overall, so it is very hard and unbendy. Oops. The outside is made out of a soft silicone, however, so it is very soft to the touch. There is a microfiber lining on the inside as well, and I lost one of the buttons, but these buttons are made out of a aluminum material to match the kickstand on the back. By the way, you can just pop the button right back in. It's not a big deal. Seeing that it is a single piece case, but it also has a kickstand on the back, 54.3 grams is not a bad weight for it. And here it is. Here are the cutouts on the bottom. I'm not sure what this is. I think it might be like a makeshift strap hole, so you can kind of loop it around. Still not enough for the Apple crossbody, but it is what it is. And here are the other sides. Around the front screen, I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it does show in person, and there is a sliver of orange peeking through the edges. It's not a big deal, and if you had the blue iPhone Pro, it definitely won't matter at all. It just does show through because it is the orange device. But Aside from that, the overall screen coverage is pretty average. It is enough to protect the front screen, of course. Kind of disappointed that the back camera is left wide open like this. There is more than enough of an edge around the lenses, however, to protect your phone when you lay it face down, and I do feel comfortable doing this with the Torras Ostand case. The Torras Ostand case also has a camera control button that does work. This is, of course, a MagSafe case, so you can use it with MagSafe accessories such as this one. And the MagSafe is pretty strong, kind of average. Works with MagSafe charging as well. Of course, the main draw of the Torras Ostand case is the Ostand, which is essentially a kickstand that's used also as the MagSafe ring. It does open up at a pretty wide angle, so you can use it in most directions. And the hinge itself is pretty strong, so it does support it at any angle as well. And additionally, you can also rotate it 360 degrees, like so, to, further customize how you want to set up your device. So here's the summary for the Torras Ostand. It doesn't have the plateau coverage, but it does have the camera control button, which is great. However, it is also priced at $59.99 listing price. I think currently on Amazon it does go for a little cheaper, but it is more expensive than the TechWoven case, so take it as you will. And I did notice this at the very end, but as you can see, it looks like the silicone around the hinge area is already peeling off. That's a bit concerning, to be honest. It may just be a product defect that it just affects this item, but the silicone itself is a softer material, and I have noticed silicone cases peeling away like this after use and age, but having it do this immediately, just my bare minimum handling, is honestly a bit concerning, this, for the price of this case. Yeah, it does have the positives, like the case itself is generally easy to hold. The silicone is great at gripping, but silicone itself is a flawed material, if I'm going to be super honest. Oh, I don't want to pull on that anymore. Let's just move on. Next, I have the Mous Limitless case. So the Mous Limitless case is pretty standard, to be honest. It is made out of a plastic material that, one second. It snapped right back in, so no worries. Again, it's made out of a hard material, and there is a soft microfiber lining on the inside of the case. It's a good average weight of 48 grams, and here it is on the phone. Here are the cutouts on the bottom, nicely centered. Strap hole here. And strap hole here, which makes the Mous case compatible with the Apple crossbody strap. Here is the front screen with a considerable lift around the top and bottom of the case, and the sides are lowered for swipe interference or minimal swipe interference. The Mous Limitless case does open up the entire camera plateau, leaving it kind of vulnerable. I don't really prefer it. The edges are high enough to protect the camera lenses while the phone is on its back. It also has the camera control button, which I did pop out earlier. It does work despite me, pretty much dislodging it. The Mous Limitless case has like different variations to it. This one is the canvas, so it has a fabric texture on the back. It's not as noticeable as the TechWoven case. It is a very soft fabric feel. The case itself is also pretty grippy. It's not as grippy as I would prefer. It does kind of slip out of my hands despite these ridges that they put on the side. It's not much help, to be honest. Yeah, could be better. Of course, it has the MagSafe magnet inside, and why is that so weak? I actually expected better of Mous Limitless case, but this is probably the weakest of all the magnets that I've experienced today. It is enough still to hold up the phone and the case together without it falling off, but it is noticeably weaker with less pull on it. Though I guess that makes it easier to take it off like magnet chargers or whatever else. So it is still compatible with MagSafe chargers, thankfully. So here's the summary for the Mous Limitless case. It doesn't have any plateau coverage, but it does have camera control coverage, and it's priced at the incredible price of $74.99. I'm sure you've all seen the ad of the guy throwing his Mous case up at incredible heights and it just kind of dropping down onto the ground and the phone inside being perfectly fine. I'm not going to test that out. I am a huge wimp, so we're just going to have to take their word for it at that. So honestly, the case itself feels pretty average, all things considered. The Onyx case had a better like hand feel to it. It's not that grippy either. The Apple Woven Tech case had a better like texture on the back of their fabric. All things considered, this is a pretty high price for this case itself. I'm not going to say whether it's not worth it because that really does just depend on personal preference. My personal preference, I probably wouldn't pay that price. This is not slander. It's an opinion. Don't come at me. Next up, I have the Supcase Unicorn Beetle. The Supcase Unicorn Beetle case is a hybrid case with the TPU sides and a hard polycarbonate back. It is a bit of a heavier case at 66.2 grams. And here it is. As you can see, in addition to the additional weight, there is in fact additional bulk as well. This is just a very rugged looking case. On the bottom, we have a dust cap around the charging port. If I can, all the other cutouts look about even. There is a strap hole right here, just a single one. So it's not compatible with the Apple crossbody. No problems though. Here is the front screen. The lift around the screen is pretty average, all things considered. It is kind of higher around the top and bottom and lower around the sides, again for minimizing the swipe interference. The back camera has a cover around it, that's the shadowed matte. And although the edges around the camera lenses themselves aren't raised, the edges around the entire plateau does have a lift around it. So this part is kind of lower and then it goes up around here. It may just be a stylistic choice. I don't think it'll affect the overall protective level of the camera itself. This case also has a camera control button on the side, and it does work without any issues. This is a pretty hefty case. As you can see, there's a lot of bulk situated around the corners of the device. This particular corner has a bit of a metal piece on it. It just kind of sounds different. It also has a MagSafe ring on the back, so it is compatible with MagSafe accessories. And the magnet is, it's very strong. Yeah, I feel really secure with that. It's also compatible with MagSafe charging. And the big feature of the Unicorn Beetle case is that the MagSafe ring also becomes a kickstand in the middle if I can get it open. Oh, I think I broke a nail. I finally grasped the technique to open up the kickstand, and this is the maximum angle that you can set it at. It's not the rotational type, so you can't really adjust the angle of it while it's set horizontally like this. The vertically you can do so without any issues. I don't know how much of a need that is, but some people do kind of want the horizontal angle adjustment, so that is something to be aware of. The polycarbonate material on the back is slightly shadowed, tinted, I guess. So it does make the orange look kind of dirty. I would actually suggest to use this on maybe the silver or the blue instead of the orange. It makes it kind of burnt. Of course, some people do prefer that. No shade to you. The case itself is also pretty grippy. It has a great design on the sides, and the material itself is also great to hold. And here is the summary of the Supcase Unicorn Beetle case. It does have the plateau coverage as well as the camera control coverage, and it has a genuinely great price of $19.99. It is a slightly bulkier case, and it is a bit weighty as well. Plus, the kickstand on the back is a bit limited in what it can do. However, if all you're looking for is a kind of cheaper case with great protection and just all-around coverage, you can't go wrong with this one. Last, but certainly not least, is the iBlason Aries case. So this case is a bit different from the ones we've seen thus far. As you can see, it has a built-in screen protector to it. The back case is made out of a TPU and polycarbonate hybrid material, and the front screen has a polycarbonate side with a 9H tempered glass built-in screen protector. And as it is a two-piece case, it is 100 grams in weight, which is by far the heaviest of all the cases we have reviewed. And here it is. So it is noticeably heavier, especially after I've handled a bunch of other cases of average weight. It is very noticeable. As this is a case made for protection, there is a dust cover around the charging port. The other ports, other cutouts are nicely centered. Nothing special of note. The front screen has the built-in screen protector, and as it is a very clear material, there shouldn't be any issues with using face recognition. And the edges around the phone are also very high for a lot of protection. The back camera has a wide cutout without much protection for the plateau. It does have a lift around the edges that is enough to cover up the camera lenses. This case also has a camera control button that is easy to use. Another cool feature of this case is that it has the kickstand around the camera, much like the ESR one. However, this one does open up nearly 180 degrees, unlike the ESR one, which kind of stops around here. Of course, there's no need to open up this far out if you're just going to use it for the kickstand. And the hinge is strong enough to really hold up the device at any angle, except for that. There's also a MagSafe on the back, and the magnet is very strong. Ow! Yeah, so the magnet is very strong, which is needed to hold up both the device and the 100 grams of added weight to it on like car chargers, MagSafe support chargers. So the MagSafe is very strong, which is honestly vital for holding up both the device and this additional 100 grams of weight that this case adds. If it was any weaker, it probably wouldn't be as effective in holding up the case on like car chargers or like just the kickstand magnetic chargers. Despite the added thickness of the case, it does still charge magnetically. I'm honestly not super into the look of this case. I think the ring on the back kind of ruins it. If it was just all black, it would look way more clean and just more attractive. That's my personal opinion. However, the fact is that this has a very smooth texture just all around, and because of how bulky and weighty it is kind of detrimental to the overall grippiness of the case. And it's just kind of hard to hold overall. So I wouldn't really recommend it for people with smaller hands. So here's the summary of the iBlason Aries case. It is 100 grams in weight. There isn't plateau coverage, but there is camera control coverage. And it costs around $39.99, which I think it's a pretty fair price for what it is, which is a double layered case with a built-in screen protector. It does really choose its audience though. I think if you're just someone who uses their phone on a day-to-day basis without really doing much else, you don't necessarily need this level of protection. If you're someone who is out and about a lot, drops your phone a lot, maybe this would be good for you. Or you can just get a regular, just lighter case and a screen protector, and it'll probably be a lot lighter than this case is. Just saying. And those are the cases for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Because I had a lot of cases to go through, I did try to just cover the basics without getting into anything too technical. If you have additional questions, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer them if I can. If there's any cases here today that caught your eye, I will leave them in the description box, so check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching until the end. I'll see you guys next time with more iPhone 17 material, so check them out, subscribe, whatever you do, I don't know. See you next time. Bye.